amazing. Thank you, Linda. You are one of my new favorite people on the planet too, my friend. Truly. So we're going to have some fun here, ladies. I am so excited to be here. I'm kind of a new member of leadership and C-suite. And so I'm honored that I get to do this workshop with you today. And so I'm going to tell you a couple things right out of the gate. I live near a train track. So if you all of a sudden you hear a train, you're going, what? That's me. That's my train. I can't do anything about the train, and I've locked up the dog. So hopefully we should be good for the next 45 minutes or so. So as Linda mentioned to you guys, I'm known as a vision expert, and I'll tell you a little bit about why that is. And then I'm going to walk you guys through an exercise. And so I hope you have something to write with. I do not do PowerPoint or slides here, you guys. It just totally throws me off. Because when I pull things up on the screen, I get really nervous about that. And then I can't see all your faces. So I like this to be really interactive, okay? I also have to say hi to Mel. You guys, if you don't know Mel, you got to know Mel. Mel's my virtual assistant. She's the bomb. So happy to see you, Mel. All right, so when I was in my late 20s, this was, in the 80s. I just turned 60 last month. I was doing the 9-to-5 gig like most of us were taught to do, and I wasn't happy doing it. I was changing jobs about every 2 years, trying to figure out the right job. And at one of the places that I was working, they had like a staff development day, and they had a speaker come in. And I don't really remember what she said, but I do remember being super inspired by this woman. So I asked her if I could take her to lunch and kind of pick her brain a little bit. And so she became my first mentor. She's still a really great friend of mine. And she said something to me that nobody had ever said to me in my life. She said, Carey, number one, you're never going to fit this 9-to-5 mold. Number two, you can create your life to look like whatever you want it to look like. You just have to be really clear on what that is. And so she encouraged me to take a day off of work, get in some quiet space, and with a legal pad of paper, because this was the late 80s, you guys, I wrote out in great detail in every area of my life what I wanted to create it to look like. I wrote a lot about my relationship with my husband, what our lifestyle looked like. We didn't have our kids yet, but I wrote a lot about the kind of mom I wanted to be and the relationship I wanted to have with my kids. And so I thought, okay, if I were going to be an entrepreneur, what would I want to do? And I had no idea. So I noodled a lot of different ideas. I knew that I wanted to work from home. I knew that I wanted to be around an inspiring and empowering group of women. I knew that I wanted to make a residual income so that I could work, my own hours, take time off when I wanted. And literally on the last line of one of the pieces of paper, out of the blue for the very first time, I wrote that someday I wanted to teach other people how to write their vision and how to goal set. So fast forward 30 years, this is why now I've taught this, like Linda said, to thousands of people, because what happened for me that day, getting really clear on what I wanted, it started to happen. This is like manifesting before I knew what manifesting was. And I was getting very clear about who I was. So I wrote not so much about the things that I wanted, the material things. I wrote a lot about the person that I wanted to become and the legacy that I wanted to leave. It was a very powerful day, and I still have those pieces of paper, by the way. So what happened next is I started having my kids. I had my son, and then 2 years later was pregnant with my daughter when I got introduced to a company called Arbonne. I know most of you guys are familiar with Arbonne. It's a home-based network marketing, skincare, health, and wellness business, and it checked all the boxes of everything I had wrote that day. And so for me, it was an instant yes to jump all in and quit my job and stay home with my kiddos. So I went to the top rank of the company, had a large team of people, and did that while I was raising my kids, and taught a lot of my leaders the importance of having a written vision, because I knew if they didn't have a really big why, they were going to quit in their first week. If you've ever done, well, we're all entrepreneurs, but if you've ever done a home-based business, especially in the marketing world, network marketing world, you know what happens in the first week. They get all sorts of rejection, and out the door they go. So 10 years ago, when we became empty nesters, I decided to create this curriculum, just a snippet of what you guys are going to get today, and started teaching it in small workshops. Then I started speaking in front of groups like you, started going out on the road, and then started coaching. Because what I was finding is, as I was teaching this vision exercise to people, especially entrepreneurs, what I was finding is that most of them didn't have a game plan. They were living that someday it'll happen. I'm hoping it happens. I'm wishing it comes together. They had no monetizing game plan they were following, especially for their business. So most of them, you guys, I found out, were running really expensive hobbies. So what was happening when I got them really clear in their vision is then I got to coach them on how to write a quantitative business plan behind it. And it also helped them a lot in their personal lives. So I've worked with young adults on their vision. I've worked with service-based entrepreneurs. I've worked with brick and mortar businesses. Obviously, I've worked with some other teams of people in network marketing. And I've also worked with some very, very successful women who have their own employees. You know, they're in the millions, right? So wide gamut of things. And what I found is that when they talk to me about vision and I ask them, like, this would be a question I would ask you guys right now. Do you feel like you have a really clear vision for your life and for your business? Somewhat, yes. Yeah. And I feel free to, I'm going to interact with you guys too. So yeah, it is kind of that. They tell me, yeah, I think I've got a pretty clear vision. Then I asked them if I asked you to show me that you had something in writing with dates on things in the 7 key areas of your life, do you have that? And more times than not, I get a no, I do not have that. So in a minute, I'm going to walk you through, like I said, an exercise on how to write a vision, probably like you've never done before. But I want to point out to you 4 or 5 things that writing this vision helps people fix. Because as Linda said in the intro, what I do tell people is when you get really clear on your vision, it fixes just about everything. And some of these things are professional and some of them are personal. So the first thing I want to tell you is it helps you set better boundaries with your time, better boundaries with your money, and better boundaries with the people you're spending your time with. So boundaries I have found, and I love saying the word boundaries because more times than not, when I say that word, when people go, okay, so that's me. I really have a boundary problem. I get distracted really easily. I say yes to too many things. I get pulled in a million directions. I know that I'm doing more for people than I should. And I'm not putting in daily intentional activity on my calendar every single day. Can anybody relate to that boundary thing? It's kind of a big problem. And I hate to say this, but it's usually women who tell me, yeah, this is so me. So when you have a really clear vision, like you guys, I get asked to be involved in a lot of different things. And for me, being so clear on the direction that I'm going and the vision of my life, it's easy for me, you guys, to say yes or no really quickly. And I have to tell you more times than not, it's a no. And it's not easy to say no because a lot of these things look really good and really fun. But if it doesn't line up with where I'm going, I'm really real about my time. And time is a non-negotiable, right? We only have 24 hours in a day and we're not promised tomorrow. So I have learned over the years, especially as I get better at my own vision, how to say no to more things, especially with the people that I spend my time with. I do a little exercise with people called the front row. And I'll do it in a short snippet for you guys because it's pretty powerful. But think about all the people that you spend the most amount of your time with. And as you're thinking about those people, rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 on how they make you feel. We're not judging them as a person, but just how they make you feel when you're with them. So the 10s, of course, the 9s and 10s are the people like this. You know, you can't wait to be around them. They lift you up. They make you feel like you can do anything. They believe in your vision. They pick you up on the days you want to go down, right? Those are the 9s and 10s. And you can imagine on the other opposite end of the scale are your 1s and your 2s. And these are the people that you could be feeling like a 9 or 10 and you're with them. And in about a minute, they've just sucked the life right out of you. So I hopefully you don't have any of these people in your life, but here's the thing. The only people that you should be in what I call the front row of your life, the people that get the most amount of your time, you respect their advice, they give you great advice, you listen to their advice, are the 9s and 10s. Anybody lower than a 9 or 10 needs to be moved to the back, right, to the middle seats, maybe where you just wave at them every once in a while. And if they're under a 5 or a 4, you guys, they need to be put in the balcony. And I know this is not easy to do because sometimes these people we're blood related to, we've had long time relationships with, but it is a game changer. I will tell you, everybody that I've taught this to, after everything I teach, This is the one thing I hear the most from people when they come back and they tell me, that front row thing, I really took that to heart, and man, did it make a change in my life. So number one, vision helps with boundaries, with your time, your money, and the people you spend it with. Second thing is, for a business owner, as I said a minute ago, a lot of people, especially if they're pretty new at growing their business, if I ask them if they have a quantitative game plan for the year, quantitative means that they have 90-day targeted income goals. More times than not, they do not have that. They're kind of winging it. So after I ask them about their vision, the next thing I ask them is, what's your income target for the year? And more times than not, they tell me, I don't know. It'd be kind of nice to make $100,000 this year or whatever. So they're kind of making up numbers, which means they don't really know what the intentional activity is that they need to put in every day, every week, every month. Does this make sense, you guys? So I learned this in network marketing. Network marketing, like any business, is all mathematical. It was very quantitative. When I joined that company, I sat down with the one and only Mercedes driving leader in the state of Colorado at that point, because this was 1993. And I told this woman, I said, I'm not in this to just sell lipstick. I want to go all the way to the top. I want the car. I want the trips. I want the residual income. I want to be able to take my family on vacations. I want it all. And she said to me, if this is what you want, quantitatively, you need to be in front of about 40 to 50 people every single week, because it's math. It was statistical. Out of that math, I was looking for other people to train the following month. I was looking for people that would host presentations for me. And I was looking for, obviously, people to get on the product. And the only way I knew I was going to hit my targets every month was following the math. So a lot of times when I talk to entrepreneurs, they don't have the income target, which means they don't really know what the real activity is that they should be putting in. And so when it brings it down to, I know every single day, you guys, exactly how many people I need to reach out to keep influencing and growing. Any aha moments yet? Be sure and drop them in the chat or say them out loud. I love, again, the interaction is so great. So the third thing it helps with is consistency. I think I've kind of hit on this a little bit already, but everything in life, the secret to success in every area of our life is being consistent. It's not going from here to Mach 10, in 2 weeks. It's little daily activities every single day that are the right things to do, not the busy stuff. Another thing that I usually say is that I've met a lot of really busy and broke entrepreneurs. They can show me really busy schedules, but they're not really doing the right things to bring the income in. Just makes them feel good that they're doing all that stuff, right? And they're not staying consistent with the things that really matter. Darren Hardy has a book called The Compound Effect, if you guys are familiar with that. And it's all about daily little things, just being consistent. The other thing that having this vision has helped me personally with is it's helped me from wanting to quit on the days when it got really hard, and also to keep going through the tough personal stuff that I've been through. I don't know that Linda said this at the beginning, but I've lost my husband and my son in the past 8 years to suicide, 3 years apart. And that shift, that traumatic shift, and I know everybody has a story and they've been through stuff, and I know you guys have too, are the kind of things that we can really lose our way and drift off course and not come back. I see it a lot with people that go through something tough and start building stories around it and have a really hard time coming back to their purpose. So growing two businesses, not easy. There were so many days I wanted to quit. But the reason I kept going and I kept doing the daily activity every day, whether I felt like it or not, is because my vision of what I wanted for myself and my family was bigger than whatever I was dealing with at the moment. We face walls all the time, don't we? We get through one wall and then there's another one. And we get up over that wall and then there's another one. And the only way I know to help people keep going is they've got to have something that they want so bad, a vision so clear and so powerful that it's like air to breathe for them. What I wanted for my family was bigger than all the rejection. It was bigger than all the personal growth I had to go through. Personal growth, so humbling, right? when I was growing my team in Arbonne, I came out of the gate pretty fast because I was really clear on where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And because I was so clear on my vision, I was able to articulate that to other women. And so they got attached to that really quickly with me. Right. And so I ramped up pretty quickly, and then I got stuck at the level right before you earn the car and some really big jump in income. I was at the level right before that leadership level for 4 years. And it wasn't my work ethic, you guys. Seriously, I was running circles around most of the other women in the company. They were working a lot less and having a lot more fun. And I was just really grinding it out and could not figure out what it was. And a humbling moment was when several of them sat me down and they said, Carey, we don't think it's what you're doing. We think it's who you're being. And I thought, wow. And I really took that to heart, you guys, because I knew that they weren't telling me that to be mean or hurtful. They were telling me the truth because they really believed that they wanted me to grow and they saw me at this leadership level. And I have to tell you, that was a humbling personal growth moment. But I took it to heart and I changed what I was doing and who I was being, and I reached the next level in like the next 90 days. So every milestone, every personal growth, every personal adversity that I've been through, what has pulled me through is knowing that my vision and purpose is bigger than all of that. And so the last point I want to make about vision and what it helps people fix, especially for those of us who are in this for the long haul, the older I get, the more this stares me in the face, is having this clear vision really helps you figure out what your purpose is long-term and what is the legacy that you want to leave here. I've started coaching more CEO level type women recently instead of the newer entrepreneurs that I was coaching for 6 or 7 years. And it kind of shocked me to learn that they reached a level of success that made it look like they knew who they were in control of their life, they knew what their purpose was. And what I found out was not so much. They were successful financially and having fun at what they were doing, but they really didn't see the long term of where am I really ending this? What's the end in sight? What's my exit plan? How do I want to exit the success that I've grown here? And how do I want to leave it with the people behind me? So, a lot of what I do now, because I have grown 2 successful businesses, is not about like it was when I was, raising my kids, reaching milestones where I could quit my job, put them in, private school, earn the trips. Now for me is why am I doing what I'm doing for the legacy piece of it? And I have to tell you, after going through what I've gone through and seeing what we've all gone through the past 2 or 3 years, we are in a world right now that I am 10xing my purpose around teaching people why they need to have a vision and other purpose, because we need this more than ever. Most especially, ladies, we need this because our young adults and our kids right now need to see examples of leadership, because they're not finding it in their schools. They're definitely not seeing it in, the outside world. So everything for me right now is so about giving them an example to follow. Yeah, I usually get people saying words like excited, hopeful, and then I also hear scary. How am I going to make things happen in 3 years that I want to make happen? I tell you guys this, and I've told my clients all this, when you get really super clear on your vision and you write it like I'm going to leave you guys with today, and you get so focused on it, I can pretty much almost guarantee you that it's going to happen faster than 3 years. The reason we slow down the process is all the clutter that we put in between it. Mostly what we're thinking about up here. Spend way too much time inside our heads overthinking things, listening to the fear, listening to the doubts, all the stuff's all distractions. And I just don't have room for it. Love the sense of urgency. Thanks, Terry. It's good to see you, by the way. It gives you a sense of urgency. Some people tell me they feel anxious about it. Some people say they do not see where they are right now, how it could be possible to be where they want to be in 3 years. And so they get really tripped up with that. And I promise you guys the how will come, just like it did for me.
And Trisha, actually, to your point, Carey just said behind. I feel behind.
Mm.
Barbara said excited. Trisha said behind. Barbara said sense of urgency. Got to get it done. And Geraldine said, yes, urgency. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of times we as entrepreneurs think we are behind. I think it's because a couple of reasons. Number one is that we don't have that target number that we're ticking away at, right? It will help when you have that number, because once you have the big 3-year vision, the next thing that you do inside the cone part is you break the cone into thirds. So you can draw a line about a third the way down from your scoop, and then draw another line halfway through the cone, and then another line a third of the way up from the tip. You guys following along with that, right? So once you have the 3-year vision, on that first line down, you write your 1-year goals. And then after the 1-year goals, the halfway line is 6 months. And then that third line is the 90-day goals. And you can circle 90 days, because successful people, they have big vision, they have 1-year goals, 6 months, but they work really intentionally in 90-day increments. And then they reassess. So what it does, you guys, is you go all the way down to the tip of the cone, and the tip of the cone becomes your daily activity, what you're doing every day that lines up with the 90 days, with the 6 months. Unfortunately, what most of us are doing is that tip of the cone is all that busyness activity that we're doing that's not getting us anywhere in the vision, right? So this is the exercise that I have taught a lot of people, is to get in a quiet space. Truly, if you can, like physically get yourself away. Like I go in the month of my birthday, I always go somewhere to the beach, which I just did a couple weeks ago. And I get out my 1-year vision and I write it, right, in a very quiet space. No phone, no other people around me, no distractions. And I write in 7 key areas of what I want, what I see my life looking like 3 years out. And here's the 7 key areas, just to kind of give you a prompt that you can be thinking about. First area would be your faith life, whatever that means for you. Second area would be your family life. Third area is friends. Fourth area is fitness and health. Sixth area, I think this is 5 now. Your field, your career. Then the next is finances. And then the last one is fun. Right? So here's what it looks like. I get people, you can write this however you want, but I think a powerful way to write it is a letter. So imagine that you sit down and you're sitting down as if it's 3 years from today. And 3 years have gone by since today, and you want to write a letter to me or anybody here about what has transpired since today over the next 3 years. So it sounds like you described to me where your family is living and what kind of house are you in, and what kind of activities are your family doing? What trips have you taken over the past 3 years? What are you doing now? So the more detail you give this, the faster you can manifest this, because again, the universe will bring to you whatever you want. You just have to be super clear what you ask for, right? So second rule is to not use wishy-washy words like we're trying, we're hoping. You use words like I have, I am, we've done, we're doing, because words matter. And I encourage you guys to write this in handwriting, not type it. There's a more powerful correlation between your hand and brain. So detail, great detail. Your financial life, where are you at in your career? What's the impact you're making in the world? What's happening with your family members? I mentioned to you guys earlier that I turned 60 last month. So I have a very clear vision of at 63, what I want my life to look like, what my family life looks like. Super crystal clear. Don't leave anything out that you don't see as possible with where you are right now. You guys, everything is, if you're thinking, I learned this, I want to do a whole weekend retreat just on this because it's kind of high level woo-woo stuff, but I learned this, I think from Dr. Shefali Sabari. Do you guys know Dr. Shefali? Amazing woman. She said this once and it just really hit me. She said, if you are thinking it, that means it's already there for you. You just have to align yourself with it and start taking daily action to connect with it. Right? The problem is that we get in the way. Like I said earlier, we overthink it, we doubt it, we just don't go to work at it every day. Right? So I encourage you guys to write the 3-year letter out in really great detail. Write it to whoever you want. Be sure you choose a 9 or 10 person that you write it to, whether they read it or not, but you want to make sure that you're writing it to what I call a safe person. Unfortunately, a lot of times we want to write our vision and include somebody in the vision that just is never going to embrace it. So I've learned to be super careful about who I share my ideas and my vision with. So any questions?